Hay algunas felicitaciones por parte de algunos de los médicos, el doctor Villalobos, la doctora Soto. Sin embargo, tenemos 100 participantes ahorita vía Zoom, aparte de los que estamos presentes aquí en el auditorio, y tienen aquí mi querido Isaac de Diario Judío, y quisiera yo abrir el Zoom para comentarios. Si alguien quiere levantar la mano, por favor, y abrimos el micrófono. A ver, Ronnie Kersenovich es genetista. He's a genetic specialist. He's the head of the big hospital for genetics here in Mexico City, and he would like to make a question. Acércate, aquí está.
In Mexico, buenas noches. My question for you is more a comment. As a geneticist here in Mexico, we have a long way to go with genomic medicine. In fact, I work at the National Institute of Genomic Medicine here in Mexico, and we have a program for breast and ovarian hereditary cancer in the general population, free to all women. And you'll be surprised by how many women do come. We have a talk to tell them about genomic medicine, just like you did, and about the piece, prevention, prediction, the patient participation, and the reaction has been overwhelming. In almost 2 years, we've seen over 3,000 patients, and we've sequenced maybe a 60% of those patients, and we're getting very interesting results in what mutation we are.
But if you find the woman positive, we need to follow her.
Yes, we follow her, and we do the testing to the family, also free of charge, and we have psychological counseling to women.
It's wonderful news.
And we also have the LC situation that you mentioned. The ethical, legal, and social issues we have to work on.
But you have to think about it. As a research and interesting findings, it's highly appreciated. But to convert it, Mexico has 130 million people. I assume that half of them are women. We have 65 million women living in this country. So the issue is how many to screen, and who will pay for it, and who will pay for the follow-up. So as long as you are doing it as academic research, it's perfect. Always the obstacle is to take the result from the lab and to convert it to mass screening. And I can tell you that the insurance companies, the health insurance, even the public one, in Israel is a very good one, somehow, and I have to say it's cruelly, they prefer a sick patient rather than to screen 500,000 patients. They say even if we cover you in the hospital and we cover the chemotherapy and the surgery, because you are only one out of million, rather than screening million people, because screening and follow-up will cost us much more. At the end of the day,
it's the same here.
It's the same, yeah. So that's the obstacle. The obstacle is not knowledge. The obstacle is application of the knowledge to the population. And even rich countries encounter the same problem. There is so much a country can do for public health.
Carol Perelman, por favor.
Thank you, Professor. I would like to ask you, you were talking about how medicine did a real change in the lifespan and the quality of life. In the beginning of last century, before penicillin, before vaccines, people would have a diminishing quality of life about 25 and 30 years. But then, after penicillin, after vaccines, we got older with a better quality of life. Now we're encountering what you explained, more life, but not necessarily more quality of life. So with this personalized medicine and knowing what we're learning about epigenetics and everything, how long do you think it will take us to get to this same lifespan, but with high quality of life?
Yeah, it's a good question. First of all, maybe I exaggerated. We do live better quality of life. I'm 76 now. I'm traveling all over the world, I'm working freely. My parents couldn't dream getting it. So we are in general doing it. The issue is also economic. Again, we are coming back to money. Until now, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars or so on my health insurance, okay? And I used zero out of it. I got vaccination, I got a little operation, but an age comes, and I realize it, that I will start to go on a slippery slope. It will be when I'll be 80, 85, doesn't matter. It will happen. And it happens so that we are spending about 80% of expenditures, spending of our health expenses in the last 10 years. We need institutions, we need caretakers, we need people around us, the children are away already, and it's really deteriorating. But we are pushing the age forward, and we are building institutions for the age, we are doing all kinds of things, but again, it's not for the mass population. It's not for the mass population. It's only becoming more and more expensive. And don't forget that that happens to us when we are the weakest. We don't work anymore. As far as the government is concerned, you can strike. Strike of what? You don't work. So, who you threaten anyway? So you don't have a political power. You don't have anything, basically. You are deprived of all the power that you had during your active life. And again, I think that we are living better quality of life. We are living better quality of life. If you are asking me about the main killers, with cancer we are doing huge head-on progress. We are going at the end to defeat cancer because we understand it. The brain is still a big mystery. So the next phase will be the brain. And these people, especially with the Alzheimer, are going to be a huge burden on the society because they are completely helpless. These people cannot go back home because once they leave home, they cannot return home because they forget everything. It's a huge burden, mostly on the families and on the economy. So the next phase will be, of course, that. I think that it's something that is inevitable, the quality of life, because there is so much the biological machine can carry. Still, you think about it, my machine, your machine, is running for 70, 80, 90 years non-stop. 60 times a minute, the heart pumps 60 milliliters of blood, non-stop, Shabbat, Sunday, holiday, Christmas, Rosh Hashanah, whatever. Non-stop, there is nothing.
Código ictus, torre central, planta baja, urgencias, observación 3. Código ictus, torre central, planta baja, urgencias, observación 3. Código ictus, torre central, planta baja, urgencias, observación 3. Código ictus, torre central, planta baja, urgencias, observación 3. Código ictus, torre central, planta baja, urgencias, observación 3.
So I think that it's inevitable. We should be able to prevent it. Rich people will have institutions. People say, I wish to die out of heart attack while I'm sleeping. Some of them are lucky to do it, some of them are not lucky to do it. The biological system can sustain it for so long and then it collapses.
Probably my question was about when this personalized medicine will reach public policy,
We are already there. Personalized medicine is already, I'm sure that in your department of oncology, when you are screening an oncological patient, you look for all the mutations. You are doing screening for 200 mutations. So it's coming up. It's not something that will start one day and will be announced in the Mexico Daily or whatever. So we are moving into it and we are improving as we move. But I think that the philosophical question of whether all people will be able to die while sleeping, enjoying very nice life, it's not there. It's not there.
We have another question here from the public in internet. And it's a completely change of subject.
Yeah.
What do you think of the role of artificial intelligence in personalized medicine?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I have a constant fight with my wife about this issue because she is a geriatrician not all, traditional geriatrics is a very difficult profession because people already see the beginning of the end. And lots of emotions are there, and she is very much into patients. You know, that physicians must devote very much a lot of time to explain and give you the patient. I must admit that I'm very different, I'm very cool. I want the best treatment, I don't care about whether the doctor loves me, or talks to me, or taps on my shoulder. I think that me and my wife are representing the very extremes of medicine, but nevertheless, I cannot ignore the fact that we are people, and people need people. What happens to me now, you know, after 3 years of being grounded because of COVID, or 2.5 years, because I used to travel like 40, 50 times a year, all of a sudden I get a barrage, an avalanche of invitations to come physically to me. People want to look at one another. They want to shake hands, they want to eat together. We are social creatures. And I don't think that there will be a way to get rid of the doctor. We don't want to get rid of the doctor, but we'll have to find the balance, the middle of the way. On one hand, we want an expert. I want the surgeon that treats me, one that did similar surgeries 5,000 times before he operated on me. I don't want him to be a novice that will, you know, shave his ass on my surgery. So we must, and the knowledge is exploding. We are teaching different medicine these days. We are teaching sequencing, we are teaching bioinformatics, we are teaching computing. We are teaching all kinds of things that I didn't learn at medical school. I learned how to treat patients, I learned diseases. And don't forget also that, I don't know about Mexico, but forget about this hospital. This hospital is not Mexico, let's admit it. This is not Mexico. This is the top of the top of the top of the top. But if you go a little bit outside to the favelas in Mexico City, and you go out to the villages, to Oaxaca, and to these places, you will find very different medicine. The doctors are not the same doctor, they don't have time, people are coming with all kinds of complaints, and actually the life expectancy in peripheral Mexico, like in peripheral Israel, is lower than in the surrounding, in Masaryk Street and in the Reforma Street, here in Mexico City. So, it's why? Because the level of medicine here is much higher than in the periphery. So, we are also surrendering not to our will, but to the circumstances. Physicians that graduate medical school in UNAM do not want to work in the villages of southern Mexico. They want to work in Mexico City, in the big cities, to make a lot of money, to have private practice, and so on. So there is a disproportion. The same in Israel, I don't blame you. It happens the same. You go to Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv has much better medicine than the Negev, than Beersheba, and then Eilat, and then Ashkelon, and Kiryat Shmoni. I just mentioned a few names of Israeli peripheral, social periphery. So that's the nature. So we have an idea of medicine, we swear, you know, the Socratic oath, once we are graduating, that we should treat all people equally, we should not take money, we should not charge, we should not be bribed. That's all, whatever it is. So, but still, you know, people need people. We should not forget it for a minute. And this will never go away. It's our very deep DNA, and we should do any effort to find the balance between the two. It was a very good question, I must admit, because it's facing, you know, we are facing this problem all the time. Patients are complaining non-stop about the attitude. When I go to my doctor, I have a doctor, I don't want to be my own doctor. You know, I don't know what is the color of his eyes. You know why? Because he doesn't look at me. He looks at the display of the computer. I bring him, they send him via the computer my biochemical test. He said, oh, your LDL is a little bit high, let's increase the statin, let's decrease the beta blocker, let's do this, let's do this. He doesn't talk to me at all. For me, it's okay. But for most people, it's not okay, and it should be different. But again, it's the balance.
אני מאוד מודה לך. שוב, תודה באמת על ההרצאה שנתת לנו היום. Quisiera invitarlos a, tenemos un vino en honor vino de honor de nuestro invitado y quisiera nada más hacer un comentario. Tenemos a Cris Bodoá y a Eduardo Pérez Mota, patronos, que nos acompañan también. Perdón, no te vi. El hecho es de que para mí es muy importante porque prácticamente tenemos la administración completa, prácticamente tenemos al director del hospital de Santa Fe, que es el doctor Gilberto Camarena, tenemos al ingeniero Zubiría, la asociación médica está completa. Entonces para mí eso es muy importante que damos el banderazo de comienzo, de hecho, de las festividades de los 70 años de la asociación médica, y creo que es la mejor forma de poder empezar, y el trabajo colaborativo que tenemos que seguir. Y creo que sí es como lo dijo él, las personas son las personas, los médicos somos los médicos y nos necesitamos el uno al otro. Y no creo que el éxito de ese hospital sin patronato, sin la administración y sin la asociación médica no es posible. O sea que creo que tenemos que trabajar los tres juntos para el futuro y el éxito de este hospital. Muchísimas gracias y por favor júntense con nosotros para